Git and GitHub are essential tools for any software QA engineer, automation engineer, and as that, or even a dev, regardless what type of code you write. One day, if you want to become a coder, you will have to start from a Git and a GitHub, because those tools will allow you to work with the different teams all over the world and save your code somewhere in the cloud. Regardless, I'm going to share that information only with those kind of people who will hit the big fat thumb up button below, subscribe to our channel, and also join our Instagram and Telegram communities, links to which you can find right here. Now, let me quickly introduce myself, and then we're gonna get started. My name is Sergey Kromchenko. I'm a software QA engineer, lead manager, and a senior engineering manager of SDET in the past. But these days, I'm helping people like you to become a QA from scratch or to improve your existing skills. Now, let's get started. GitHub is a code repository, but also after Microsoft have purchased it in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, they've developed quite a few new features, which I will show you in a moment. But for now, let's get started. When you register on github.com, you will see something similar with no updates, with no repositories and no updates on the left side. But as soon as you join the company or the team, they will add you to one of these repositories. For example, Playball Regression, which is a part of our Codify Bootcamp. So this repository is for the website or for the application that's called Playball. And we have used Cypress test automation tool. But disregard it for a second. Let me quickly walk you through of what's happening right here. On the top left corner, you're going to see Code tab. This tab is corresponding to all the code that is saved in this repo. And GitHub is just like a Google Drive, where you can store pictures and other things, but GitHub specifically was created for the code. And here we are using Cypress, as I mentioned, and you can see all of the files right here. Everything that is on this repository or on this kind of drive, Google Drive, we can say, is located right here. And if you scroll down, you will see usually if the company has instructions for for new team members who are just joining, they will add it right here. So everyone could go through prerequisites, read what kind of node version you need to have installed, how to install it, and what commands to run, how to run tests, etc., 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 even some debugging steps. So the instruction will usually be located right here. And it honestly comes from this file, Readme.md. If you click it, you will see this very same file. But GitHub have set it up in such a way that if you create this file, it will show you all of the text at the bottom. And usually there will be instructions. Awesome. So the name of this repository is the Playball Regression. You can see it right here, right there. And also it should be a part of the URL, github.com/codifyautomation/Playball Regression. Great, that's where our code is stored. And when you join the team, you will be given a link to this repository with instruction. And they will very likely add you as collaborator. And what you will need to do, you will need to clone this repository. You will need to click here and select very likely SSH, because that's the most common way these days to connect with the GitHub repository. You copy it, and then if you want to follow an instruction on how to set up an SSH key, I'm going to leave a link right on the top right corner of this video. If you don't see it there, it will be right below this video on YouTube. So there will be a full few minutes instruction on how to clone repository through SSH, because it takes quite a few steps. And since I do already have the video that clearly explains that, I will not waste your time here. So go there, set up SSH key if you would like to. But if you are not planning to clone anything right now, simply continue with me. Great, imagine this, you've cloned it and you've got the code in your VS Code or whichever IDE you guys use on your computer. And IDE is Integrated Development Environment. I hope you guys are familiar with it. If not, please Google what Visual Studio Code is. And that's the place where you pretty much write the code. So all of the files that you guys can see right here. Except this one, because it's just an algorithm challenge that we have been solving with our students from Codify Bootcamp. I'm going to remove it.
And by the way, I'm a founder of Tech Bootcamp, and I have helped thousands of people to become a software QA engineers from scratch. So if you would like to try it yourself, simply for 20 bucks for 1 entire week, I'm going to leave a link for you right below this video. Let's continue.
Now, if we look into these files right here, they'll be exactly the same ones as you can see right here, only with the one difference. We don't have node modules, but you can ignore that because that file should not be located in a GitHub. So you've cloned it, now you have your instructions, now you have all of your files. By the way, this is also an extra, we can remove it. You have all of your files on your local and you can run your tests, which you can find, for example, let's say right here. So this is an API test with the Cypress Test Automation Framework, and now you guys can run it. I'm not going to run it, we're not planning to do any testing here. If you guys are interested to learn more about API testing or Cypress, I will leave a link for the YouTube video right here. And on the right side, we can see quite a few things here. So we're going to skip the basics such as description, which is not here, amount of stars, readme activity, etc. That is not very important. But what we're going to pay attention is to contributors. And you can see list of people who've been writing the code for this repository starting from the person who wrote the most code to people who wrote less, and finally last code. And you can see that there is only one language that has been used here so far, which is JavaScript. Great. Now let's talk about local. So this is our local repository, and you can see all of the files that you guys did see in a remote repository. And the difference between remote and a local is that remote repository is whatever is on the website, on a GitHub website. Why is it remote? Well, because it's not on your machine, on your computer, which is called local. That's why it's remote. It's also called a cloud repository, so remember that. And this is your local repository, copy of remote repository we have just taken. So after you've cloned it, you will see here. But once again, if you're cloning it, if you're running that command git clone something, and you are getting authorization error, that means you did not set up SSH key. And remember that I do have a video, a link to which you can find in the description below of this video about GitHub SSH setup.
Yo, I think you forgot to hit that big fat thumb up button below, subscribe to our channel, and also write a comment right below this video. How much are you enjoying it? And make sure to use some keywords and put 7+ words in a comment because that's the way YouTube likes them the most. Alrighty, let's continue.
Now we are on our local repository. Great. So first thing that we're gonna do always is check which branch we are on. And I will explain to you branches in a moment. So what is branch? Think of it. When you're working as a single person in a team, you can grab code from the remote repository, make it changes, push it back, it's awesome. But what if there's someone else who works on the code? And there might be different versions of the code. Maybe you made the clone and I made the clone of this repository, and we both make changes to the same file. So who is right? Whose changes should be here in the main place? Well, branches will solve this problem. Think of it. Right now, I'm on the main branch, and the main branch is like, think of it as a tree, and the main branch is the one that holds the truth, the true source of the best code. And I'm a QA lead in our company. Imagine this, you're a QA engineer. So I will be the person who will check your code before it can go to the main branch. So what you will have to do, you will have to create your own branch. So git checkout -b, and let's say your name is John. So John, login, test, updates. For example, you're planning to make some updates to your test. Now you have switched to a new branch called John login test updates. By the way, guys, no worry if it's a lot of information. Watch it slowly, rewatch it multiple times. This is kind of the technical topic that you will have to get to if you want to become a test automation engineer, regardless of what exactly you're planning to do in your career. But if you are jumping into coding, you will work with the Git, GitHub, and branches. So now I am on a different branch, which is called, and now on this branch, I can make some changes. Think of it. Let's say that I want to add a new test, but I'm going to add just an extra space here because I do understand that this is actual repository that our students using and I don't want to mess it up. So after I made the change, think of it this way, that you did create an update. John created an update, created a new test. Now I'm going to check the status. Okay, so that's the file that was changed. Changes not staged for commit. You can ignore these, those are my changes. So changes not staged for commit. That's the one. Let's run git diff to see what exactly did the John make an update of. Oh wow, so he added only one space in a file called Cypress ETE login site.js. Great. So now we're thinking that this is a new test and it works for us. So I'm gonna hit the letter Q to quit, and then I will check status again. I will copy the name of this file in order to add it. I will say git add, and I will add this file. Now I'm going to hit arrow up twice to see a previous command I ran, git status. Now it's green, so now it's ready to be committed. And to be committed, think of to be committed as to put that code in a letter and then we can ship that letter. So I'm going to commit it and I'm going to add the label on that letter. I'm going to say adding or add new login test. And then in the parentheses say dummy test for YouTube video. Or just, it's not even a dummy test, it's a dummy space. Dummy space for YouTube video. Great, I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to run git status again, and we're not going to see that file anymore. Great, it means now it's ready to be pushed to remote repository. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run git push command, and finally we're going to be done with our very first automated test. Let's say it that way. And when you are on a new branch and you're pushing your code for the very first time, it will explain to you something that, hey, fatal error, the current branch John login test updates has no upstream branch. To push a current branch and set the remote as upstream, use this command. So I'm going to copy it, paste it here, and hit enter. Great, it was all pushed. So now branch John login test update set up to track origin, blah, blah, blah. So pretty much your local branch, John login test updates, which is located right here, is connected to the origin, to the one on origin. So I'm going to try to push again. Everything up to date, nothing to push because we did push it. Great, now you will see something new. We're back to GitHub. And on a GitHub, you see John login test updates had recent pushes 2 seconds ago, which means now this is the main branch right here. But if we click here, we should see our John branch somewhere there. Anyways, it's in this list of branches and we can see that it's ready to be merged. So John created a test and John is going to click on this button and then maybe add some description, but there's nothing to honestly add here, and you can see my commit message here. So I'm simply going to create pull request. You might ask, what does this mean? Well, great question. I will show you in a second. From code tab, we have gone to pull requests tab. And I'm going to click pull request, and you will see that, okay, there are two things here, two lines. First line is something from August 16th. Second one opened now by Codify Automation. So this is called pull request. And what is it? Think of it. We have our main code here, and the main branch, as I mentioned, is the source of truth. That's the pure code that I don't let anyone to push their code into, so it wouldn't get broken. So before I can approve your code, you need to create pull request. It's pretty much a request that it's pretty much a request to say, hey Sergey, can you please check my code right here in a list of pull requests, and if it looks good, please merge it to main branch. So everyone could see it and everyone could use it as the truth, as the base. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to click it right here. I'm going to click File Changes. I will take a look at what was removed in red and what was added in green. And usually GitHub will show you, if you made a change, it will show you in the highlighted green right here, the change, and the rest will simply be green because this is a line where the code change was made. And in a simple red, without any highlighted red, is a line that was not removed, but that's the line that was changed from this to this. That's pretty much it. And also, when I am done checking it, I will approve it or disapprove it. Let's go to File Changes again and click here, Review Changes, and I can leave a comment or I can simply approve it. Let's see, submit a review, comment. 1, 2, 3, finish your review. Okay, yeah, I actually don't even have to submit a review because there is nothing to worry about. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the main tab, Conversations, and right here, I will be able to merge this pull request. But this brings us to the next section, which I will talk about in a moment, because at the moment, there are some tests running. So code is the section where we show the code of this repository. Issues is something that you usually don't use, at least from my experience, but devs will use it sometimes for the issues that they have in a code and they need to take care of them. But usually by QA engineers, it's almost, in my experience, it have never been used within a decade of years of experience of mine. And pull requests is a list of requests from team members to the lead or to the person who's merging them to ask, hey, can you please check my code and merge it if it looks good? If it doesn't look good, leave a comment and let me know what I should improve. So let's click it again and see if GitHub Actions, which is a CI/CD, which I'll explain to you in a sec, running right now. So pretty much GitHub Actions is an automation tool or CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery. By the way, if you guys are interested to learn more, I'm going to leave a link right here that explains what CI/CD even is in 2 minutes. And for now, CI/CD is an automation. Think of it as the bot, as an automation tool for software developers and not only. And in the GitHub Actions or in the CI/CD, you can say, hey, when John or anyone else in the team creates a new pull request, please run all of those tests. And those tests, it looks like some of those tests have failed, but I do know that it's okay because there were some failing tests in the past and we have simply added a space. So for now, I'm going to merge this code by clicking that merge without waiting for requirements to be met, because I have set a requirements that all tests have to pass, and only then we can merge the code. But since I'm an admin, I can bypass that and merge it. So we're gonna say that our tests have passed, there were no new failures, and the pull request has successfully been merged. And I can now delete that branch for the John. Cool. Now let's go back real quick. I'll show you that our code was merged, and you can see merge pull request a couple of seconds ago. And you can see, let's see, where was it? In Cypress, 7 minutes ago. Add new login test, dummy space for YouTube video, 7 minutes ago. So that's the change that John created and I have just merged. So merged. Now you can see it right here. And whenever a new team member joins Cognify Playbowl or just Playbowl team and clones repository, that team member will now have that space or that dummy test as we've called it. Great, now let's move forward to actions. So GitHub Actions is the place where you can automate jobs for your test automation and not only. Developers use it to create releases and to run unit tests, to run integration tests, etc. QA team, usually if your repository is separate from the devs, we will use it to run our end-to-end test, integration test, API test, contract test, etc., whatever we have to run. And how it works is, I have automated it in such a way that as soon as someone creates a new pull request, like John with the login test updates 5 minutes ago, it took 3 minutes and 43 seconds for those tests to run. And if you want to see the details, you can click here. And me, as the QA lead, I would open up every single pull request that was created. I would see that, okay, that person did add a change, made a change to a login test. And in fact, I do know it was just a space, so nothing was broken in the login, and those are unrelated changes. And if I would look in history, I would see that those have been failing for a while, so I'm going to ignore those. But generally speaking, if there would be things to debug, I would click it, and then I would take a look at what exactly is failing. So matches, site.js, line 121. That's what is failing. But at this moment, I will not waste my time because I do know that is failing for a certain reason. And we're going to move back here. So these are the tests that ran in a parallel. And I will move forward to GitHub Actions. So let's sum it up. GitHub Actions is an automation tool or a CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery tool that allows QA engineers to automate jobs. And one of the jobs says that if someone creates a new pull request, run it on a GitHub server for me. So me as the QA lead or anyone else in the team who wants to test the pull request, who wants to verify that a person that wrote pull request did not break anything else, and we don't want to pull it to our local and run it right here, we simply come here, open it up, and see the results of the test execution, which is quite amazing. And you can do that with the help of GitHub Actions, right here. Single file that does all of the changes. By the way, that's a cool guy who been with us for a while and who found a job in Canada. Great. I hope he's gonna watch this video and say something in the comments. Now, if you guys are interested to learn more about GitHub Actions specifically, I did explain it on this video right here, or also you can find it below this video. We're done with GitHub Actions, we're gonna move forward. So projects, it's something that I have not used in the past myself, within a decade, years of experience. If you guys did use projects, you can describe it in the comments below. I have not used that, so I will not come up with anything. But generally speaking, that would be mostly used by developers, as well as Wiki. Wiki is something handy. That's where you can create more documentation about your code. Generally speaking, explanation on the base level of README file is enough for QA engineers. So these sections will mainly not be used, neither projects, wikis, security, insights, or issues by the QA engineers. But settings will likely be used by your lead, who will be adding you as the collaborator, because I am the owner of this repository. And that's how I can add you to our private repository. By the way, this is private, so you guys will not be able to find it even if you search for it on GitHub. That's how I can add you. I can click collaborators. I've just told you my email, Jesus Christ. And I can add people right here. I can click add, find you by the username in the GitHub repository. So if you guys create your own GitHub repository, which by the way you should, just to practice, you will be able to add your friends or your different accounts. And then there are a lot of sections here, which I can go through, but I don't think we need to spend time on it. Well, let me actually spend a couple of minutes here so I could tell you about most important things. Branches will set the rules for the branches that you have. Think of it this way. I'm a QA lead, and I don't want any one of you guys to push code directly to the main branch, which is a source of truth. So I've added the rule that applies here that says that, hey, let's actually take a look at it. Require a pull request before merging, require approvals. At least one person should approve pull request before it can be merged. So if pull request was not merged, no one can push it directly to the main branch. That's the rule. Tags are mainly not used by the QA engineers, but by the DevOps and the software developers, they will. Sometimes QA automation engineers can also use it for a variety of reasons. If your test automation framework becomes very complex and you need to do quite a lot of things, it could be used. Rules also mainly not used. Actions, you can disable GitHub Actions or not. but majority of the time you will not do anything with it because by default it's simply enabled and you will be using it as the QA automation engineer or an SDET. Webhooks are hooks that can be used to let other servers know that something did happen in a GitHub. For example, if you are a QA engineer and you want software developers to know if your code fails, you can get it done through hooks by adding an extra hook that will send a post request, for example, to certain URL to provide information with the results of the code execution. It's just an example. There is a webhooks guide which you can use to set up webhooks and learn how to use them in a more advanced way. Environments, code spaces are used by software developers, pages as well. And by the way, guys, if you want to build your own website for free, completely and host it for free on something like GitHub, pages.github.io/Kromchenko, for example, or Codify, you can Google how to create website on GitHub Pages. Very handy, very easy to use, very simple for beginners who want to learn software development. Great. Code security, deploy keys, secrets, and variables. As an SDET or a senior key automation engineer, probably maybe even starting as the mid-level, you will start learning about secrets and variables. We do teach that in our bootcamp at Codify, so if you guys are interested to learn more in advanced way about GitHub Actions, and how to become a software QA automation engineer from scratch, or how to convert yourself from being manual QA engineer to automation, we can definitely help you with that. And I'm going to leave a link right below this video where you can schedule one-on-one consultation with me. And the rest of those integrations are mainly not used by QA automation engineers. And a quick reminder for those who forgot to hit that big fat thumb button below and subscribe to our channel. Please do so, and also leave a comment. Tell me how much have you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Drink some water, get some workout and rest, and I will see you next time.